everyone, welcome back to Truth Seekers episode 9.
You just died.
Non, regarde ça dedans, Hey everyone, welcome back to Truth Seekers episode 9. Wonderful afternoon, it's very nice outside. So basically today what we have on the agenda is we want to talk about Neuralink. So we've actually already talked briefly about Neuralink. And it's basically a company that Elon Musk co-founded, and I think, or he's like in one of the main important people.
Yeah.
And so we had said in the previous podcast that they were going to make an announcement soon about the advancements that they've made in the last 2 years on human and machine interfaces. And so basically they made an announcement last night. The day before, and we're here to talk about it right now. It's kind of breaking news, let's say. And so basically, yeah, let's jump right into it.
Starting by explaining what Neuralink is actually doing and what they're trying to achieve for humankind. I think Nick is in a better position than me, like to really go into details of what they have on their agenda, the technology behind their project. I looked at the event, the presentation that they did about their advancement. It was incredible, really.
Before we start, actually,
go ahead, yeah.
I wanted to address one quick thing. It's in the news and everything. You've for sure seen it by the time this podcast comes out. Everything going around with the Face app, where you can take a picture of yourself, and it uses artificial intelligence to basically add filters, make you old, make you young, and stuff like that. And it's going around Twitter and Facebook, and people are completely going batshit on the fact that it's taking all of your pictures in your camera roll and it's uploading them to some server in Russia. And so while it's very important that you guys need to check out if a certain company or a certain app is taking your privacy or is not complying to like the GDPR, like we talked about in a couple podcasts ago and stuff like that, it is very important. But at the same time, misinformation goes around very easily. And like we were saying, you have to go look at the source and go look at who kind of said the original thing and why they're saying that. And so it all started, and now that tweet I think has 600,000 retweets or something like that, about someone that he turned airplane mode off while the pictures were loading in the app, and then suddenly they loaded quickly, and then he's like, wow, they're uploading all the pictures to a server in Russia. But basically, and I follow a cyber research, like a scientist that looks into that, and you can use basically any network sniffer or whatever, and you can tell that the app does not do that at all. It just uploads the picture that you're actually taking to like modify your face, which is absolutely normal. And you got into this like there was basically an agreement when you downloaded the app. They need to upload the picture to a server.
That's what you need in order to get the face swap at the end of the day.
They're not going to download the AI model onto your computer. It's all done in servers. So like people trip a little bit. Obviously, watch out for your privacy and all that, but just misinformation is everywhere, and I just wanted to address that quickly. And so basically, coming back to Neuralink, I don't know that much about the history of the company. I think it's 2 or 3 years old, or maybe older. Co-founded by Elon Musk and a couple of other very, very bright people.
Yeah.
And it's all people in the field of neuroscience.
Many fields,
basically.
Many fields. Everything related to the brain, to the technology, to the software development of the products. You could see during the presentation. Basically, it was like a recruitment presentation where they wanted to make people like Nick aware that what they were doing, and like recruit the best talents in the world in order to help them achieve, because the task that they're setting is colossal. It's enormous.
So I think it's important we talk about like their mission. We're going to be talking about this whole podcast about what they've done and what they've worked on, but they made it super clear that their point is just for a better tomorrow. Elon Musk often backs companies. It's not for his own interest. He's maybe he wants to in 10 years be able to control his computer with his brain, but that's not his point. He wants a better tomorrow for a lot of people. And Neuralink as a whole, basically what they want is they don't want to have all the technology and be proprietary technology and stuff like that. They're just saying, hey, this is a field, like a new field, human machine interfaces. It's a new field. Come help us. We need people. It was a recruiting event. It was a live streamed worldwide event, but they're like, we need talent. We need people to work with. We need academia. We need researchers to work with us. We need universities and stuff like that. And at the same time, it was to present a little bit of the work they've done. And so basically Neuralink's end goal is to create a machine-human interface, so being able to communicate with a machine that is viable and that helps with a bunch of neurological diseases.
That's their first main objective, I think.
Right now.
Right now, what they're trying to achieve is basically make. There's a lot of neurological diseases that cannot be treated right now, or that can be treated with like little chance of survival or
very bad methods, like rudimentary methods and stuff like that.
So they're trying right now to achieve, basically like give another option to these people, a better option, a way better option from what they told us in the presentation, with less severe consequences after the operation, etc. So it's right now it's their main objective, but this links up to another objective that they have, that we do not like, that the AI world doesn't put the humans aside, and at the end of the day, all the humans become servers of the AI or cannot compete with an AI. So they want us to basically go with the flow of the evolution.
Even in a scenario where the AI, like robots and technology and stuff, they're benign in the sense that they're not there to kill the humans and get rid of the humans, even if they're just there, as humans, we don't really want to get surpassed by these. We don't want to just be like those little puppets walking around and like we're controlling the AIs, but they're way smarter and stuff like that. So Neuralink, which the logo is right up there if you guys are watching on YouTube. Yeah, it's a sick logo. Well, basically their whole point is, their end goal in multiple years is symbiosis in between machine and human. So basically in between artificial intelligence and humans, so that you can. And the way Elon Musk puts it, and I love the way he puts it, is that human-machine interfaces already exist. So there's basically, you have your nervous system, which takes care of all the super primitive parts of your body, sneezing, going to the bathroom, things like that your body does automatically, breathing and everything. And then you have your cortex, which is your brain, like the smart part of your brain that takes care of thinking, math, seeing, stuff like that. And then he sees it as there's a third layer on top of that, which is the artificial superintelligence or digital superintelligence, which is the internet, communication at grand scales, information at grand scales, computation at grand scales. And the thing is, we already have that. We have all those computation skills. We have all that information skill and all that. But it's the way we interact as humans with the machines to give them our information that is super shitty. Think about it. Right now, we see a lot of data, and we already have AIs that we can like extract great things and do computations with math, and you want to know what the distance between Earth and the Moon is, and we can get it in 0.2 seconds for servers. But when I talk to my Google Home, it takes 10 seconds for me to say the sentence, or when I type it into Google, it takes 5 seconds for me to write it into Google. And so that's extremely slow. Like 5 words per second, if you think about it on a grand scheme of things, is extremely slow. Our interface right now with technology is extremely slow.
So like the brain and all the data that is usable for the brain are just not together, not on the same level, and they're not working together.
Exactly.
It's like 2 different worlds. And what he wants to do is basically create one world with the brain and the data.
Exactly. So right now our output data, so what we say to the digital interface or whatever, is very slow. We have to write words, we have to say things, we have to enter calculations or something. But then the input data is still pretty fast, right? We have a computer screen, and vision is selon moi, senses that are insane. The amount of data that you can infer with vision. And so our input data, the one that comes into us, is very fast. We're able to see the screen and we take in the information very quickly. But our output is extremely slow. And so the first hurdle that Neuralink needed to get over, basically to get that human-machine interface to a point where it's usable and it makes sense, is a high bandwidth interface. So basically, how can the brain communicate with the computer very efficiently, very quickly?
Yeah.
And so basically that's what they unveiled yesterday, and I have my notes on my phone, which is why I keep on opening my phone.
But also they have a lot of problems to solve.
Oh yeah.
Because they were showing, like, do you have the picture of the wires? Yeah. The wires over here that are going to connect to the brain, like these are technological improvements that just arrived We didn't know this existed like 2 days ago.
Yeah, actually, Porky, go on the internet, Neuralink chip next to a penny, okay? So we'll show you the size of how it looks like.
Everything is nanotechnology. Like, we are in the nano world right now.
Like, they didn't use the word nanotechnology once, but this is all
but
nanotechnology.
it is. Like, it is literally nanotechnology. It is so small. This wire compared to a human hair is really small. And the machine that needs to operate this, because a human hand cannot wire this to the brain, so because it is so small. So the technological improvements that they are putting forward with their technologies, not only their goal is hard to achieve, but also the technology to achieve the goal is hard to develop.
Yeah.
So it's insane the amount of work that they're putting in.
So basically for the people listening, what we're showing right now is what they showed off yesterday. It's after multiple revisions of their computer chip, the threads, everything, it's how, this is their best version yet of how a computer is going to interface with the brain.
Yeah.
So you have the main chip, which is, that by the way is a penny, okay? Like that's small. What, it's not coming up nicely on the video? Perfect. So that's a penny, that's very small. It's much, the computer chip part of it, which is down here, sorry, 2.4 millimeters by 2.4 millimeters, I think. Super small, smaller than a penny.
Although is.
And then you have on this, like this is just to show it off, 10 threads sticking out, and the threads are basically like long little filaments, like little threads coming out, and they're each
microscopic threads.
They're each much smaller than a human hair.
Yeah,
and
much smaller.
Right now they're attached to a little black cardboard, but that's just to hold them back. But basically when they would be inserted into the brain, they needed to, once again, also invent a machine that does the insertions, because let's say you wanted to insert all those little threads into the brain. They're literally going to take it and poke it into your brain. But let's say a surgeon wanted to do it. There are, when a surgeon is, let's say he puts you in full anesthesia, je sais pas comment dire. Okay,
I really don't know.
Puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
So when he's trying to put in the threads, when you're asleep, you're still breathing and your heartbeat's still going.
Yeah, that was insane.
It was so cool, huh?
Insane, the presentation, what they showed.
These threads are so small, and you don't want them to poke these micro small vessels of your body. When you're breathing, you're moving on like you don't think you're moving, but you're moving on super small scales. You're moving, right? Because your whole body's going up and down, and at the same time, your heartbeat is making those little
the injection of blood
vessels.
Yeah, just
making those little vessels move
it's a little rhythm in the brain, like it gets bigger, it gets smaller.
Exactly.
Bigger.
And
but
so basically
it's microscopic.
They have this machine that can, just like in our smartwatches that detect your heart rate, it shines a green light, and like that they're able to see where the vessels are, and that machine has like a super small needle.
Yeah, that was impressive also.
It takes every single thread and implants it into your brain. So they created a machine for that. Porky, if you can take it, if you can show the machine, just go a Neuralink machine, you'll see it. Neuralink machine, for sure you'll see it. Oh yes, very nice.
Beautiful. Everyone is epileptic watchers are dying right now. Mikey, don't watch.
We should make a disclaimer at the beginning. Yeah. And so, I don't know what the hell's going on, but
right, man.
Yeah, change, you know the setting thing? Change it to watching videos. It's gonna increase latency, but have better fidelity for video. So basically,
it's
what we're
not
about to
considered
show
a screen
you
right
guys,
now. What were you about to show? I don't even know.
The machine, what it looks like. But whatever, the machine, try disconnecting and reconnecting.
The machine is basically a machine surgeon.
It looks like, if someone has ever played Portal, it looks like GLaDOS just like chilling there.
Don't do too much Portal references. I only play with you a couple of times.
Okay. Whatever. It looks like a big mean machine that's about to poke you, but it basically, it puts it in for you because surgeons would not be able to do it because of the micro movements, because of how small the threads are.
But it's assisted by surgeons, like
neurosurgeons
for
sure.
The people working in Neuralink, bro, their CV is just a joke.
But the end goal is that the machine does it alone. For sure, at the first trials, they're gonna need people to do it. But and so that's what it looks like. It's like for the viewers that are listening, like a 2 millimeter by 2 millimeter small square, like a SIM card, let's say, but smaller, and then hanging out of it a couple long hairs. Okay?
Yeah.
And so basically, that's what the actual chip would look like. And so to try kind of understand why we need those threads, the machine is on the bottom left there before Porky pulls it up, if you guys want to see. But what's really cool is that, let's go back into how the brain communicates. So we already have ways of detecting brain activity. As you guys probably know, and they had a little video explaining it at the beginning, it helps to understand, you have a bunch of neurons in your brain. And how do they work? Is that, just like I said with artificial intelligence, the neural networks, it's very similar, because we kind of made neural networks, like we took on a calqué the neural networks on how our brains actually work. Yeah. You have neurons, and one neuron has multiple inputs, so it takes there's a bunch of neuron ends, I forget the names for the words, but
Axons.
Axons.
I don't know the word in English.
There's a bunch of axons that connect to, let's say, the brain of the neuron. I also forget the word. And then that neuron could fire off into one. It's like it has a brain, and then it has a leg sticking out of it. And that little brain, when it gets stimulation, it will fire off. And so then the electrical current is going to start from one neuron, shoot to another, shoot to another, shoot to another, and go down a certain path, basically.
Yeah, something really sick about that is the fact that it's like electric current that becomes like chemical in this synapses, as a word, and then becomes electric again. Just this part of the presentation, I was like, yeah, true. We saw that in the science, but
it's super cool.
But it's awesome.
100%. The human brain and
the human brain is like that was why I was blown away by the presentation. The work that they're doing is incredible, but the thing that they're doing it on is incredible also. Exactly. Like the brain is just...
They must love what they're doing. Like 100%.
Well, it's so interesting, man. You're looking at this and you have to... the brain is just... What the hell is the brain? Like it's such a nice item that we have to our advantage.
Yeah. Thanks, my guy. And so basically...
Do not take conscience of your brain right now. I was just thinking like, oh my god, he's making me talk and everything. Yeah. That's so weird.
So the neurons fire like that. And there are ways to put, where are you saying
PC does not support Miracast.
What? It's weird, we always do it. Okay, just try, don't restart it. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, Porky's getting some technical issues.
I'll keep trying.
And so, what I was saying was, I think I can
You were explaining the electric signal in the brain, how it works.
And so the electric signal goes through the brain basically when you think of stuff or when you're trying to do things. Let's say it's a motor signal, like you're trying to move your hand. A certain type of neuron, a certain path of neurons is going to shoot if you want to put your hand forward, certain path of neurons somewhere else if you want to put your hand back. And so by putting little pieces of metal inside, electrodes, when the current passes through the neuron, it creates electromagnetic field, which you see in science, and that electromagnetic field creates current inside the electrode, and basically we're able to detect it, is what we're saying. So you're able to detect a voltage increase or decrease when a neuron nearby the electrode fires off. Yeah. And so right now the only solutions there are, it's two big electrodes. There's like deep brain simulations or like Utah arrays.
That looked fucked up.
Yeah, that doesn't.
I was looking at that. I was like, nah, not in my brain.
And there's like some Alzheimer's patients and stuff like that are testing things with that. And that
literally get a stick.
It's massive. Like it's longer than my finger and thicker than my finger.
Yeah, it's basically bigger. Yeah.
It's actually insane.
Disgusting.
And there's only two. And the Utah array, I think it was 4 or something like that. And it's like there's not a lot of electrodes you can put. But now their best prototype, Neuralink, there's 1,024 channels. 1,024 of those threads that will each individually be stuck in. And so basically they'll be able to detect much more neurons and much more of what you're trying to do, what your brain is trying to say or what it's thinking, basically. And so with all those channels, there's a lot of possibilities. And so basically the whole point of the presentation yesterday was they presented this N1 chip. And now you know a little bit how the brain works, how if you put sticks of metal into the brain, like I'm saying sticks of metal, but in this case it's small, tiny little threads, you're able to detect if neurons fire off. And then with that, there are multiple applications. And so let me just pull up...
Because no internet connection.
Yo, my computer's being retarded. Just connect to the other Macbeth network. Oh yeah?
Yeah.
It's all gone.
It's all gone.
Humans without internet right now. Man, back to the ice age.
Turn off your Wi-Fi,
Okay,
back on.
and so like I'm just gonna go through my points because I kind of explained. People sometimes ask, why can't you just put a wearable on your head, basically, to make it work? Why can't you just put like a helmet and stuff like that?
The distance is too big, I think.
And so basically they find out it's literally a physics problem, and right now with what we can do, you need to be about 60 microns close to the neuron to be able to detect its electromagnetic field. So something outside your head will obviously not work, so you for sure need something implanted in your head right now.
Mm.
And so by 2020, they want to start doing their first in-human trials, and their goal is to be able to do 3 things for right now. Move a keyboard, move a keyboard. Move a mouse on a computer, navigate a mobile phone, and type on a keyboard.
All through your head.
That's by 2020. All through your head. And
So you're doing nothing. You're just thinking.
For right now, it's not going to be for us, and they want to basically help quadriplegic patients.
Yeah.
So it's basically people, if you don't know what a quadriplegic patient is, it's that someone that usually has a problem either in their spinal cord or something like that, and the signals that his or her brain is trying to send through their body and into their motor, into their muscles, is just not getting there. The brain is firing something, it's just not getting either to their mouth, either to their hands or their whole body, and so basically...
So they're paralyzed.
Yes,
some
they're
part
paralyzed.
of the brain.
And so basically what Neuralink is thinking is you implant this into their brain, and then suddenly they're able to use a mobile phone, they're able to write on a keyboard. And
so there would be like a connection between the chip and a device.
And so yeah, that's also the other thing. They didn't want you to be connected. They didn't want it to be that if you wanted to type an email, you have to go to the hospital for 2 hours and it's a piece of crap, you know?
Yeah.
And so basically, Porky, you can't do the pictures, huh? Basically how it is, their best bet right now is that, first of all of the processing of the neurons is done on the chip, that super small chip that you see up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's sent wirelessly to like a little, I don't know if you've seen someone with like an ear aid, a hearing aid.
Yeah.
He has like a little thing around his ear. It looks like that, and that connects to your phone basically. So you have a phone app that connects to that, and that connects to the little chip.
Okay, I see. Okay. So they're doing like a physical connection outside of your brain, and this is wired to the chip.
Exactly.
So it finally, like, everything makes up.
Exactly. So wire, let's say on top of your little chip on top of your head connecting inside your brain, then little wires going down behind your ear, and then behind your ear, well, like through your skull, like they're able to implant it easily through your skull, that's easy.
Yeah.
And then after, behind your ear, a little thing that you charge every night or something, and that communicates through Bluetooth.
By the way, I am blown away, like, when I listen to what we're saying, that this is something that is going to happen in the near future, and next year they're trying it out, literally next year, and this is, like, we're talking about technology that gets into your brain and that could make a device work, and this is only the beginning of this type of technology. So when I hear what you're saying and what I saw yesterday, I'm just like, when you realize, you take a step back and you look at it, it's incredible. It's incredible that you're going to be able to make a device work without even touching it. Absolutely, it's just sick. I just wanted to point out that it's incredible. We're living in a golden age.
Right now we're in a. Thank you so much. Change aspect ratio. Change. Full screen.
Keep it up, man.
All right, perfect. And so, just to show you a little image for our viewers that are on YouTube, basically up there you have these. So on the right here is, let's say, the chip connected into your brain, and you can have 4 of them, so each would be 1024, so you would have 4,000 different threads going into your brain, and every single thread could detect a certain amount of neurons. I forget how much it was.
But there's only one chip.
Well, you could put, one chip has 1024 threads, but you could put 10 chips in your brain, and then you'll have 10,000 threads going into your brain.
And is that a project? Is that something they want to do, or the?
No, they're able to do it now. This chip, the 4 things you see up there are each a chip. They're attached to your
So how do you know how many chips we would be talking about on a human brain?
It depends on what you want to do. It depends on, let's say you just need the motor cortex. I don't know how much. They still didn't do tests yet of how much they need, but there's going to be a certain amount they need in this region. Then if you want to do this region, this amount. then if the end goal is AI and your whole brain is connected, maybe you need like a massive amount of connections everywhere. And so basically that's it. You have, like we were saying, that little device that connects through Bluetooth, and there you go. So just to show you a little bit how it looks like. And what was I gonna say? Oh, now we can see my screen. My face, pretty good. And so yeah, so they want to be able to. What are you doing? Press the thing button. What I was gonna say was for things like writing on a keyboard, you know, if you needed to wait for the processing to be done on a computer, like your brain does a certain electric signal every time it's doing things. Every time, you don't even know it. Okay.
Every time you're doing something.
And so it gets sent to that chip, and that chip, what they did is that they were able to put it on a little system on a chip over here, and basically it's able to detect if neurons are being fired or not in 900 nanoseconds. 900 nanoseconds, that's actually insane. That's actually before you would react or even know something's going on. So let's say you see something, it goes into your eyes, and as it's firing through your brain until the fact that you know you've seen the thing, the chip already knows you saw the thing.
Wow.
It's faster than your brain.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. And so with that, they're able to do closed loop stuff. So let's say you're thinking about something and the chip is helping you think about something.
Before you even thought about it, so you have a better thought than if you didn't have the chip in the first place.
Which is why it's going to feel like it is your thought process. When you're on a computer and you write what is... how far is the Earth from the moon? It's your computer's doing weird stuff. No, it's still recording, I think. Oh Lord.
Yo, technical difficulties today, man.
And so, what was I saying? Let's say you write something on Google. It takes time. It connects to the internet. It goes on a server. The server does a quick search, responds, sends it back to your computer. Your computer displays it. Yeah. It's going to be so quick that it's going to feel like it's part of your own loop. It's like, let's say it doesn't need to connect on the internet. Let's say on that chip, we put a bunch of information. Let's say le Code civil du Québec. Yeah. You're just going to think Law 26, and it's just going to pop into your brain as if you know it by heart.
But that's something, well, it's basically changing human nature. Like, as you said before, it's giving you the opportunity to have access to all the data that right now we have to look at. We have to look for the data. We have to do research. We have to go to the library to read the book. We have to type it on Google. And then with this is all gone. You need that information, you get it.
You get it straight.
But that means there's a connection between the chip, your brain, and the internet. Am I right? There has to be some sort of library that you get access to.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. Let's say we still need to connect to the internet. There's still going to be some latency. As the internet gets quicker, obviously it's going to be smaller and smaller latency.
Okay, so the internet right now would be the flaw.
Yeah, right now it's the slowest part, networking issues. But in the example I was giving, let's say the information was stored on the chip.
Yeah.
Directly on the chip. Then
Is
it would be
stored on the chip? Some information, maybe?
No.
Like you can ask for a special chip that gives you
Exactly.
Like if you're a lawyer, you want the Code civil.
No, but exactly. Think about it. You could probably put what you want. There's going to be like a format, or like there's going to be a little app store, and then they're going to create different libraries of things that you want to put on that chip. And so you're like, let's say you're a tech person and you want to know the whole syntax for every single language that exists, because you want to write code. Like you know the syntax instantly. You have all the documentation. You don't need to go on the internet anymore. Like it would be insane, honestly. It would augment humans like crazy, but that's obviously the end goal. Now we're talking about giving paraplegic people feeling and like sense.
Yeah, but I feel that they're using not using, like they're doing a great thing at the end of the day. They're trying to help, but it's also like to test their product. Yeah, and who else is gonna take the chance to test something on his brain other than someone that is already desperate to improve his brain? So I think this is why they're going the medical way, and it's a great approach, because worst case scenario, like they're helping the person. So or the person is already like in the bad condition, so he needs it. But their real goal, I think, would be to augment the human, like to make us human machines, like that are better, like just as you said, that could process tremendous amounts of information without really doing anything. And you know, we talked about like a lot about AI in these podcasts. So with this technology, how relevant would be an AI at this point? Like, but let's compare a human with like the chips. Like let's say the best, maybe this technology in 20 years. Okay, so a great technology that works, that can really like give you the information you need, versus an AI that is doing its own stuff. Like, what would be the main difference between the two?
We're still going to be limited in our capability. We'll have access to information,
Yeah.
but things that don't exist yet, or in the sense that you feed an AI how to be the best at a game, it will beat you every single time.
Even with this?
Yes, because this, we just have information. You'll have access to the information.
And you don't necessarily have the skill.
You don't have the skill. It's like the AI will know, and like there's ways of it to know, like what are the best plays I should do right now. No.
I would love this to keep recording. You know, like,
It's not recording.
well, Ibs dips.
Fuck, man.
Sloop sloop.
Okay, my bad, guys. You guys are gonna have the audio from the backup audio. Well, actually,
Which is still pretty good. You know, like.
yeah, it's still fine. I don't know what it saved. Probably nothing. Oh, come on, you piece of shit.
Yo, man, today the technology is not helping us. Ta-da.
What happened though?
It just blue screen of death.
Yeah, I think it was upgrading that.
I'm sorry, guys. Technical difficulties.
Well, can you edit this part?
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
recover projects, please.
Discord, fucking Discord.
Recover project. T'as bien recover, mon gars? Alright.
There's fuck all.
Il y a littéralement.
Cover the project. Fuck all. Thanks, man.
Episode 9, recovered.
Psych.
Oh shit.
Cover this dick.
Oh shit. Okay.
Go again. Okay.
You wanna? How do we process now? Do we say that we're?
Is that still recording?
I think that's still recording. Don't worry. This is still recording too. But this
So-
is
Do you have enough space on your phone?
yeah.
Did you check?
Because now we're suspicious that everything's going to shit. But for real, est-ce qu'on recommence avec comme sorry guys, we had technical difficulties, puis là on repart.
Mais ça change rien parce qu'on n'a pas l'audio du début, alors juste fuck it. Comment on repart, ouais.
So on repart dans.
5.
Ok, non, pas qui fait le décompte.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, so sorry guys, we had major technical difficulties, but we are back on track. And I actually am not sure what we're talking about.
We're talking about AI versus human enhancement.
Alright, yeah, so we're still gonna be, like, we will have access to information, and that's also, like, information will never be instantaneous. Not all information will ever be instantaneous. Like we said, like, everything would need to be put on a chip, but that's, in 500 years, maybe we'll be able to put all the information ever in the world on a small chip like that. But I think that AIs will still be better than us because the way they infer things and find micro patterns that we can't find and stuff like that, it's still going to be better than us at multiple things. And that's why if the chip inside your brain is a form of artificial intelligence, in the sense that you feed it a picture and then it can like detect, okay, the danger is here, 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 like stuff like that. Or the weakest point in this door is here, hit right here. Or like a doctor, I can see the patient's blood vessels here are pumping a lot, you should probably do the incision here. Stuff like that, where the brain, it's AI is great at taking data that already exists and finding with that data, like what
a
is
new solution.
the new solution to the new problem that was put in front of you. humans will just have access to the old data but won't get that same power of inference.
So in this sense, what really, like, it's right now, like, it's unbelievable what they're doing in Neuralink, but does it really make that much of a difference at the end of the day? If you consider that AI, like, if we see it as like from the viewpoint that AI is gonna take over society and maybe leave the humans behind type of scenario, does this change anything, or we're just better but still not enough to compete with an AI?
Well, if
let's say on the job market, let's say.
If you put the human with the AI implanted in your brain, then you have the best of both worlds, because you have that power of inference and the data, and you're just still a human being. Like, there's gonna come a point where the AI, like, it's gonna look at us, and we're just gonna be like, I'm a human. You're gonna feel like a piece of shit next to the AI.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be smarter than you. So if you have it in your brain, like the Halos and Cortana and stuff like that, and it's your friend and it's helping you, and it almost feels like it's a part of you, then you're augmented, then you are better. But you will still always have, if you're just human, you will always have limitations of just human.
What do you mean by just human? Because in my opinion, when you get a chip and that like connects you to internet and you can get all the information that you want, you're not that, well, you're still human, mostly, biologically you're still human, but you do not respond to information the same way as I would right now.
No, obviously not. You're way augmented than you were before, but you're still the same. There you go,
Porto appearance. All that was missing to the podcast.
And so you're still gonna be limited in the sense that, like I was saying before, like you can't infer things like the AI can. But obviously your ton puits de knowledge is just gonna be insane. Like you have all this knowledge that's accessible to the whole human.
Like, you get what I'm saying, that it isn't normal. Like, you're still human biologically, but the way like you think is not
obviously
much human anymore.
No. I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'm not. I wasn't saying like philosophically you're still a human. Like, I'm saying that if you take just a human versus the AI, you lose. Just a human with the chip, with knowledge, you're still much better, but you still lose.
You don't touch the AI.
In that sense, because it has the knowledge and it has that inference capability. But if you have that inference capability, like that AI chip in your brain,
if you become an AI, basically,
then you equal the AI.
So that would be,
except for being mortal.
You know that, like, you're making me think about it, like, if you enhance yourself so much that you become just as good as an AI, like, the only thing that would be better is just like for feeling of being alive, but at the end of the day, the like processing of information in the world, if it were just AI or just human AI, it's the same thing. Like, if you become an AI, you're legit an AI.
No, exactly. Like, that's what he was saying at the beginning. Even if it's benign, even if the AI are good and they're gonna save us, like, let's not be surpassed by AI. Let's stay the
but it's like, I don't know, it's like putting the computer in your head instead of just using the computer. It's still the same exact result.
There's nothing we can do.
So basically, it's just like this kind of research is just the human trying to not be surpassed by its own creation. It's pretty weird. What do you think is gonna happen first? Humans, like human AI, or like straight up AI? Like, how is what path is that technology? What path is society gonna take? I think we're going for human just because we're feeling like it. It's a better feeling than just we could say basically, let's leave the world to AI and let's let the human race become secondary.
You think we're gonna do that?
We could.
Yeah, we could.
It's one of the possible scenarios that could happen. Let's let the AI run our lives, provide us with all the job opportunities that we need. Like, what job do you want to do? And AI is going to calculate based on all the experience you lived in your life, kind of thing. Okay, that was like a possibility that I read in one of my books. Was that like an AI could choose your career better than you would, just considering like that it has all the information, all your memories, it gets access to everything you ever thought about, and it could see, oh, okay, so for him to be happy, he would need this job. Better than you do, because it's really hard, and I think the three of us can agree, maybe a bit less you, but what job you're gonna do. you know, it's pretty hard, and a lot of people in society struggle with this. So if an AI could do it better than us, and we could just say, okay, well, let's stand back, let the AI run my life. It's gonna run for me, and at the end of the day, the AI, his algorithm is based on, let's make this person happy. You're happy, you're living your life, you're just a normal human, controlled basically by an AI, but for your benefit.
Yeah.
This is one possible scenario that could happen. We let the AI run the society. Second scenario, we decide, no, I'm still gonna be stuck with my human's problem, but I'm gonna have all the intelligence that the AI could have. So my point here is, what path are we gonna take?
Ça me gratte.
What the fuck are you
Ça
doing?
me gratte en dessous de la jambe. Et je sais pas comment le gratter à le frappe.
Oh shit, mate.
J'étais vraiment collant, mais je savais pas comment le gratter parce que tu sais, genre c'était en collé à ma peau, je peux juste pas bouger.
T'as juste
là.
tapé. Oh, c'est tellement chiant.
Ok, ouais.
Ça va, ça.
Merci. J'ai pas moi tu fais.
Bro, oublie, mais c'est quoi ton problème avec
Non,
ça?
I think it's just your Wi-Fi that's acting up.
Non, ma Wi-Fi is not acting up pour qui je vais te frapper.
Ok, par exemple, faites votre comédie, je parle de
No,
l'eau.
that's my computer. That's a little retarded. Oui, je vais te passer de l'eau.
Yeah, it's like,
To answer your question, I want to implant with AI because I just feel like augmenting ourselves and being the better version that we can
Playing with fire.
is always playing
Well,
with water. Is always the better outcome selon moi. Like I just find it cool, and just on a scientific and curiosity standpoint, because I'm a scientific person and I'm curious, I would want this for humans to be able to augment themselves. That would be the only reason. But I see your point in there's no difference. It's literally just ego. It's literally just ego, and
It's the same thing.
And it is, and we'd probably be happier not knowing what the AI knows. We'd probably be happier living our normal human lives. We probably
Well,
would.
the happier the human race, like arguably, because I mean, someone can deny it, but the happier we've ever been was chasseur-cueilleur society.
Yeah.
That's what our brain is wired to do. It's to go hunt, to go fish, to survive, to live in pack and walk through the forest. Okay? This is what our brain is wired to do. So right now, anyways, we're not as happy as we could be. Right now, we're living in a society. It provides us with lots of stuff, but at the end of the day, it's not even the happiest version of humans. Well, that's Noah Harari's standpoint on the question.
Yeah.
I guess maybe someone could argue about that, but so yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be that much happier with an AI brain. I don't think so, at least because having all the information in the world and seeing all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, we're talking, but we don't even know what, like, a brain that processes all this information, like, how does it feel? Maybe you don't feel anymore. Maybe you're just, like, numb. You just act like a robot at this point. Could be. I mean, once you realize how much your emotions are dumb compared to what, like, everything happening in the world, maybe you would just be like, okay, well, too bad for this, too bad for that, and accept that you're not a human anymore and act like a robot. If our brain becomes an AI, I don't think we would feel human anymore. Are you alright, man? You're doing big research while I'm talking.
No, I'm actually listening to you and everything. Sorry, Perky. Sorry. Whoa.
Who's talking? Jay Lee.
Whoa.
Yuck. Phil Lucy.
You're not.
But I just wanna help viewers understand how we're able to take the brain's electrodes and so basically for our viewers that can see, this is what one electrode, so one of those threads, those hair-looking things connected into the brain sees. So this is, let's say, over the course of a minute. As you can see, the line is fairly normal, so that means there's a little bit of voltage differences, but everywhere where there's an arrow, there's a spike. So for people that can't see, it's basically a line that's relatively straight, it's shaking a little bit, but there's a little spike every now and then. And what's the spike? That's when a neuron is firing off. And so as you can see here, there's a bunch of different rows, but imagine just the first row is one neuron. So one neuron is spiking at that moment, at that moment, at that moment, at that moment. And then another neuron, the row under, that moment, that moment, that moment. And so basically these are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 neurons, and that's when they're firing. And that's just what we're able to read from the electrodes that are inside your brain. And so now what do we do with this information? Well, I'll tell you. And so basically, ignore the bottom part at the beginning, but you tell a human being, and basically you need to have some ground truth when you're, I think for every single human, they need to calibrate it for your brain, because all the neurons fire off differently. And so basically, how much time have we been doing this? 45? Okay. And so basically, you have, let's say you're doing nothing, and there's always neurons firing off when you're doing nothing. That's like what you see in the first box. And then in the second box, we tell the user to think or to do. And if he's quadriplegic, he needs to think. If not, he can do. Take the mouse and push it forward. And so he pushes it forward. And then after we ask him, take the mouse and push it back. And then take the mouse and push it forward. And you guys can clearly see a pattern that there's neurons over here that obviously are fired when you're doing nothing. But when you're pushing the mouse upwards, these neurons are firing, these ones are not. As you can see from the big, the kind of full cluster here and the empty
more
cluster
over
there.
here, more over here.
Exactly. So
down,
you're
down.
pushing, pulling, and then doing nothing. So for our viewers that can't see, it's basically a representation of which neurons are firing, and you can see clearly that there's statistically an average that some set of neurons fire a lot more when you're trying to push it forward, and some neurons fire more when you're trying to push it back, and it's always the same neurons and it's the same kind of patterns. And so they can very easily extract these patterns and hello? Okay, never mind. They can very easily extract those patterns and figure out what your neurons are trying to say or do.
So know which neurons do what. And
then
once they know that, they can use those neurons to their advantage, I guess.
Exactly.
With the wires and everything connected to the chips, they know where to put the little wires. They know how it's gonna act, which neurons are gonna react to everything. But
exactly,
there's billions of neurons. Am I right?
Millions, I would say.
Millions. Okay, so
maybe billions. Actually, I have no idea.
No fact checked. No fact check. Just
what
basic human knowledge.
How shitty is our knowledge?
How many neurons in the brain?
Probably a lot.
Let's go Google, do this.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
100 billion.
I win. Yeah.
What?
That's a lot of neurons.
I thought we had like 13
So
billion
they have
cells in our body.
they have quite a lot to
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
to
They have a
analyze.
pretty big data set. No, they actually have a lot, and so basically,
Give or take a few billion.
just give or take. Brooke, if you want to go back on the wallpapers and stuff. And what's really interesting and what Neuralink did, it's not only recording if neurons fire off, it's also stimulating neurons, which is a whole other piece. And so with stimulating neurons, you can, like we were saying, give information to the brain. So that's more complicated stuff, like when we're searching the internet with our brain, like we were talking about 2 seconds ago. But also when let's say, I'm trying to think, let's say someone who's blind, okay?
He's gonna shut him up. Julien, shut up.
On est désolé, Julien. Actually, si tu regardes ce podcast,
Non.
Philippe,
Je regarde la partie.
Julien, si tu regardes ce podcast, envoie-nous un message live.
Non,
Ça, c'est un test.
Ça va être quoi, un live?
Non, c'est un test.
Ouais.
Tu comprends?
Ouais, mais oui, mais
C'est un
il va
test,
essayer
c'est
pas
un
nous envoyer un message une semaine après.
Ouais, ben, c'est ça le point, il va nous envoyer un message.
Comme, tu sais,
Tu fais là, genre,
Saw
j'ai
my
vu
shout-out.
le podcast. Thanks
Il
for
va voir
the
qu'il nous
shout-out.
a fuck up. Okay, nice.
And,
Okay.
Okay,
I see you
back
guys.
to the sauce. Basically, they can stimulate neurons, and which is really interesting. What they said is basically, let's say you set up a little GoPro on someone that's blind's head, okay, and it sees stuff, and then very easily, not even any AI simulated, they've already done these tests. You can put two big electrodes that they put in the brain.
The crazy scientist stuff.
They're able to stimulate some of the visual cortex to make appear a certain color in front of your face. Like the blind person just saw a point of light, because you're tricking your brain into thinking it received those points of light. Because let's say you receive yellow.
stimulation.
Let's say you receive yellow at this point. Some neurons are going to fire off and then go into your brain. If you just fire off that chain of neurons, you're going to trick your brain into seeing something.
Seeing something.
And so it's actually relatively easy to take a picture and just choose what neurons fire off, and then you create with pixels like we see on a screen every day.
If you're able to make like the pictures connect, like, I don't know, like to the reality wired to this kind of simulation, you could basically make a blind person see.
Yeah, exactly.
If you just took all the input from like the reality, put it in the brain,
exactly,
it works. At the end of the day, your brain is just a machine that gets information.
Electricity, ones and zeros, neuron firing or neuron not firing.
Boom, 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 boom. And the path gives you what you see, what you hear, what you...
There's actually a lot of computer things that were kind of inspired by how the human brain works, and it makes a lot of sense.
Well, basically 0, 1, 0, 1, and then the bigger the computer, the more there's 0, 1 firing other 0, 1s. Basically how the neurons work. This neuron works, so this one is activated, so this one is activated, so this whole section of the brain gets activated.
So this thing is activated.
Yeah, it's like what the... It's so sick.
And even recreating memories or jolting memories, there was a study that they referenced inside in the Neuralink presentation that basically, let's say you're someone that knows very well New York, and you walk from kind of the pier area through Manhattan, and you walk until like what's the name of the park? Central Park. Okay. Every time you see something that really looks familiar, a certain set of neurons is going to fire off. And with that, we'd be able to extrapolate like images and do a bunch of crazy stuff. And the end goal here is also important to note. You know your inside voice? Like, you know when you're reading something, you hear that little voice and stuff like that?
I know it's talking to me right now.
It actually does fire neurons, like they've been able to figure out.
Okay, that's sick.
And so basically the end goal, and what I'm super excited about, is literally telepathic walkie-talkies.
Like, between ourselves?
Yeah. Because think about it. I connect with you over the internet, or through Bluetooth or something, with our little machines.
Yeah.
But then I'm just thinking something, Philippe, ça va bien, in my head.
And this information just gets to my brain.
And then it stimulates your brain as if it's your inside voice talking, or my voice talking. Straight up, they can recreate. So I'm sure this is going to be super easy. They just take the model of my voice and like take the words. No, literally the sound. They could just like, you can
your voice in my head.
My voice in your head.
But we need a way to shut down, because I don't want to do everything you think about, man.
100%.
I need a shutdown button of this brain feature.
Yeah. There's like they also have security researchers and stuff like that, because that like enables a bunch of crazy stuff. But like, there's so many things that are possible to do, and I'm just kind of going through my notes to see if we missed some things. But one important thing they said at the end, I'm not sure if you saw it, in the Q&A, it was an interesting question, 50 minutes. It's an interesting question on whether neuroplasticity will have a thing to do with this.
Yeah. And
it was very interesting in the sense that, you know how kids today are really good with phones and our parents are not? Because we learned it with it, because we have neuroplastic brains, so we were able to adapt.
Yeah. Our brain is just much better to adapt to it.
They're gonna be, but we're gonna be past now. Kids that are, well, not even in the next 10 years or 20 years, let's say in 30 years, they put this automatically in kids. Imagine it was like their mobile phone, like at that point. They're gonna be able to use it so much better than we are, because we won't be used to having an external source sending information inside our brains.
Yeah, well, me and you and Porky, we lived 20 years without this.
Exactly.
So we don't know how to use this device in our brain, really.
Well, like I'm just saying, someone brought up this point, and then there was an answer that said, literally, we don't know. Because it might actually work like this, where neuroplasticity has a thing inside, but it
so basically what you're saying, you would get a younger person would get accustomed better to the chip, and like just basically his brain would use it much better than we would.
But that was someone asked this question at the presentation. That's what they were saying.
Yeah,
you summed it up properly. And they don't know the answer. They answered. They're like, we've thought of it and we're not sure, because it's either it works that way, or because it's literally neurons firing off, it works in any human being, because you don't even know it's there. It's just neurons firing off. It's not even.
So at this point, we're not talking about the human. We're talking about how the brain works and how he's gonna adapt. Is he gonna notice the chip and integrate it to his like system, or is he just doing his stuff and it's like not a parasite, but a good parasite, let's say,
Exactly.
merged with the brain that doing the same
Exactly.
thing. Okay,
Will we be
I see
able
where
to
you're
tell
going.
if it's external information or not? They kind of think that it won't, but we never know.
Oh, that's
Um,
sick. That is sick.
And then there was also other questions like, why Neuralink? Like, first of all, are you guys going to make any money? Why would I invest in Neuralink? Why would I help you? Right now, like all the care that you need to do for Alzheimer patients and paraplegic patients and stuff like that costs a lot of money. If you could just put one brain implant in them that costs 20 grand, 50 grand, 10 grand, $500, okay, even 20 grand isn't a lot. They cost a lot of money. Putting research into this will pay itself off very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, which was really, really cool, really cool, they didn't talk about this the whole time, and then basically they were like, and in a couple of months we're going to publish another research paper with our like new findings that were very recent, but we didn't really like accumulate all the data and stuff like that. And then Elon Musk just like blurts out, yeah, we were able to make a monkey control a computer. And then the others were like, whoa, we weren't supposed to say this today. But straight up, like they're getting really positive results. Like a monkey, and at the end, this question was asked, and they're like, yes, very sensitive subject. They're like, we really watch out with animals. We wish we could do it on animals, but we need to, like, before putting it into humans and stuff like that. And they follow all the rules and they make sure the animal is okay. And it's a 2 little millimeter chip in their brain. It's easy to remove and stuff like that. And it's like almost benign. It doesn't, like up to now, it doesn't ruin the brain or anything. And so, but a monkey was able to control a computer with his brain. Like that's actually insane. And so they want to do the first human test next year, and we'll see where it goes from there. It actually looks crazy, and they really wanted to stress at the end the fact that it's not about Neuralink. It's really about advancing the field. They just want help. They want the biggest brains. They want to save people. They want to just advance this. They want to be in a happier world. Like they want to advance the field. It's not just like a for-profit organization that's trying to destroy everyone. So
maybe as a podcast ending question, what do you think?
All right, so now the camera failed, but we're back.
Still going strong. Still going strong. So how do we process? Do I ask the question again?
Yeah.
All right. So for the first time today, I'm gonna ask a question to Nick. So as a podcast ending question, oh là là, pour qui? Checker mon âme. Ok, je peux même pas savoir ce qu'il fait. So yeah, it's me and you, man. As a podcast ending question, where are we going with this? What do you see like the future of humankind be, and what is the reason that we are developing this kind of technology? Is it only because we can? And now your turn.
And so, like I was saying, for one, because we can. Scientifically, we're curious. We just love to advance technology. So for one, because we can, and we think we can. For two, for diseases. Like you were saying, we're not all touched by these diseases, but a lot of people are. They cost a lot of money, and you want to give these people a second chance.
And they have a great reason, I would say.
Yeah.
Compared to me.
Insane. And lastly, it's to not get surpassed as a species.
And become irrelevant.
And become irrelevant. Because
this is the point we were at before the video cam.
As a species, we've always been at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, well, as far as we know.
Yeah, as far
for
as
sure.
we know.
No, but like, it's important that like it's just we're wired to think we're the best right now.
Yeah.
Because on this planet, we did what we had to do to be on the top right now.
Yeah. And so we just instinctively, first of all, don't want to be put behind. It's an instinct.
True. Like, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, no creature wants to be put behind. It's basically the role of like how the life plays is you need to be better than the rest to keep on going. This is
because
like,
if something else is better,
from a Darwin point of view,
if something else is better, you have a chance of disappearing.
Yeah.
Like the lions right now don't have a chance of taking us over. But if we wanted, we could murder all the lions.
Yeah.
Just saying, I don't want that to happen.
You just don't.
We have the power.
We're
so sorry the camera messed up again, and we gotta go quick. So no more storage on the camera. And so we were saying the only thing keeping us alive, basically, is the fact. Well, only thing keeping that species that's under another one alive, it's the fact that species above it doesn't want it dead. Is what we were saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't not want it.
this is obviously an excellent point because I never thought about it, but we're actually wired to survive.
Yeah.
Well, I actually thought about it, but right now to be one of the main reasons we're doing this. So yeah.
And so
Very good
basically,
point.
thank you very much, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe, share, go follow Insta, YouTube, subscribe, everything.
Facebook
We love
Live.
you guys. Facebook.
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Won't happen again.
Vraiment pas facile.
I'm with two tech guys. They're doing shit right now.
All these devices failing, all three. And so yeah, thank you so much.
Peace
Episode
out.
9.
Thank you. Love you guys.
See you next time.
Shout out, Raphaël.